Not too long ago, Volvo was on a mission to go fully electric, as were many auto manufacturers, though as we know, the world is changing very, very quickly, and as we do see electrification coming, maybe at some point down the road, it is not the primary form of transportation as we do know of today, and a lot of manufacturers are having to quickly, very quickly, adapt to those changes by providing a full, broad lineup of hybrids, electric vehicles, full combustion vehicles, and plug-in hybrid vehicles like we see here. So there's a lot of different things going on in the industry, and Volvo is one manufacturer that I think has adapted very quickly to this rapid change by redoing a lot of their core models with a little bit of a nice update, providing some new features inside and out, while also maintaining that full broadband strategy that we are seeing across the industry today. So here we have the 2025.5 XC90 here in the highest trim you can possibly get, the plug-in hybrid T8 in the Ultra specification, and this is a refreshed version of the now 10-year-old Volvo XC90. And despite that age, this is a vehicle that's been able to really do a great job at having a timeless look inside and out, while also staying up to date with the times with modern technologies such as all new LED lights, modern interior equipment and stuff. And I think it still looks fresh inside and out. But is it still competitive today with a much broader band of three-row plug-in hybrid luxury utility vehicles? Let's go find out in this video today, and of course take you on a full tour and review of all the awesome new updates on this Volvo XC90. Now, like I mentioned, there are quite a few competitors now on this plug-in hybrid three-row luxury SUV market now, especially with things like the all-new Lexus TX, as well as even the Mazda CX-90 plug-in hybrid. But this Volvo XC90 T8 plug-in hybrid packs a familiar formula under the hood here. This is a very familiar 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine we've seen across the Volvo line. So we have an 18.8 kilowatt-hour battery pack mounted around the floor and rear section of the vehicle, and this engine alone is powering the front wheels. The rear wheels in this vehicle are being powered by an electric motor, a pretty powerful electric motor at that as well. Combined, this whole system produces a pretty impressive 455 horsepower and over 520 pound-feet of torque. And there's no CVT, eCVT nonsense going on here. We have a good old 8-speed automatic gearbox as well that is being used on this front axle area as well. And of course, you can go in pure electric mode around 33 to 32 miles of EPA rated range, which will be primarily using those rear wheels. So it's kind of rear-wheel drive in electric mode, which is kind of cool. And combined, it's getting a pretty good amount of range. I'd say over 400 or 500 miles of range, depending on your driving style, which is pretty decent. MPG, if you're being in more on the hybrid mode, can range anywhere from like 25 to over 35 MPG as well. So it can be pretty efficient. And I think this engine and powertrain system is one of the early ones to do this sort of split powertrain design. This is going back almost 10 years now of this system, and now of course it's been updated with higher power, but of course nonetheless this is not an all new powertrain for the 2025.5 model year, as is pretty much the same with the rest of the Volvo XC90 lineup. Now, over on the front driver's side area of your XC90, we're actually going to find a redesigned port door, though what isn't redesigned is the charging system itself. So we have a traditional level 2 J1772 port here, and unfortunately Volvo has not upgraded the onboard charger, at least for this particular model year. It's around 3.6 kilowatts, I've noticed, for level 2 charging speeds, which is not good. I think it's a little bit too low compared to a lot of the competitors, which are at a minimum doing around 7 kilowatts. I mean, going all the way up to 19, depending on some vehicles as well. So that, I think a 7 to 12 kilowatt range is pretty acceptable for modern day plug-in hybrids. And we're also seeing a lot of other luxury plug-in hybrid vehicles in this class, even now offering DC fast charging up to 50 kilowatts, but they are also offering a little bit of a larger battery pack with up to like 50 to 60 miles of range. So that doesn't necessarily apply here, though. It would have been nice to see a larger onboard charger, a more powerful onboard charger for this heavily updated XC90. So what are we getting that's new on this 2025.5 Volvo XC90? Well, as you can see, there's an all new front fascia, and we're going to find this fascia on a few upcoming refreshed Volvo products. So have a good look at it now. And one of the hallmarks is an all-new design for the Volvo's iconic grille area over here. So we have that signature Volvo iron mark logo up front over here still. Then we have a little bit more of a traditional style design of the grille over here versus previous. I also like how they've kept this kind of arrow in the iron mark logo is here, which also points to where you can open the hood, which is kind of cool. But they've gone a little bit further than just that. They've also redesigned their iconic Thor's hammer LED headlights over here, and this is using a new matrix style technology. I'm not too certain if this is fully active in the United States market right now, but it is still very recognizable as a Volvo LED headlight, though the outline and just of the all-new Thor's hammer beam is a little bit more brighter and crisper than it was before, and also has this little bit more smoother and modern shape to it. And of course, how could I forget the all-new paint options you can get on this heavily refreshed XC90. This is the new mulberry red shade, kind of derived over from their fully electric EX90, which was supposed to replace this vehicle. So it's kind of great that we still have the XC90 on the market right now, because it originally was supposed to be replaced by an all-electric SUV. Moving over to the wheel front over here, we are getting some refreshed wheel designs for this updated XC90. I do like this particular 21-inch option. I believe you can go up to 22 inches now if you do want to. This is a very nice traditional Volvo wheel we've seen in the modern era. So we have a nice machine finish here with some gloss black inserts blending into the Volvo logo over there. Nothing too crazy, nothing too offensive either. So very nice and reserved from the Volvo line. And this one does get the adaptive air suspension, which is an optional upgrade here. So it will be able to lower the vehicle down for an easy entry and exit process. Or if you want to lower down the rear end of the vehicle to make loading stuff into your rear trunk area just a little bit easier, that is a pretty good option. And it's honestly not too expensive of an option either. Now, coming onto the rear end of the Volvo XC90 update here, this is where things may not look so different. Now, I do think this vehicle has a very timeless design, especially for something that's 10 years old. I honestly don't think it's that old looking whatsoever. Volvo has done an incredible job with making their designs really age well over time. And I guess that's a good anecdote here to the burgundy kind of wine-ish color. It's aging like a fine wine, but these taillights are definitely not that new. All they've really done with this updated version is kind of make a darker tint on the taillights just a little bit. So you may be able to recognize this as an updated XC90 from the rear, but I think the front end or a new color may be the best way to really set those apart. But let's open up the trunk and see what kind of space we're dealing with back here, because again, not much has actually changed in this department. Well, not that much has actually changed. We still have that kick to open feature that we've seen on a lot of vehicles now, but since this is just an updated version of this vehicle, there is no updates in terms of cargo space back here. So behind the third row, we're getting a little around 9.3-ish cubic feet of cargo space. Fold down that third and second row, we're going to be getting a little over 73 cubic feet of cargo space, which is pretty decent. In the rear area over here, which is nice, is we still have some underfloor storage actually over here. If you pull this up, you actually see the air compressors for this adaptive air suspension. And Volvo has also provided this particular one, since it's the plug-in hybrid, with a level 2 home charger if you want to plug that in, which is quite nice as well. And that stores pretty easily under this load floor area over here. One thing I do wish they always included on the XC90s was a little bit of an easier way to pull up this third row. As you can see, it is down right now, and there's no actual easy way to really pull it up from here. I kind of have to go around to the second row and push it up myself, but otherwise, it's not too bad of a space and of an area over here. The third row seats themselves do get their own cup holders, climate vents, as well as little storage cubbies on the side. And there's plenty of Volvo accessories you can find over on their website to kind of put things in for your storage solutions, dogs, and a whole bunch of other stuff back here, which is quite nice. And over on the right-hand side over here, we're going to find our buttons for our adaptive air suspension, so I could raise up the vehicle via this button over here, or lower it as well. And of course, we have a power tailgate as well to make this whole process a little bit easier. But now let's go look at the third row space, see if anything has changed there, which I'm not expecting too many differences. Okay guys, let's go have a look at that third row now. Not much has changed in this interior, unfortunately, for 2020 5.5. I mean, not that unfortunate, because it is quite a nice space. You know, pretty nice wide door opening angle, I would say. And we do have some new interior stuff for 25.5. The door cards have been redesigned, and since we have these new ultra trim, everything in here is very luxurious with this nice Nappa stitch material on top here. We do get sunshades on the side panels as well of our doors, which is nice. Not power, but still pretty nice, and as well as tinted privacy glass. We're also getting increased glass sound insulation as well, and I love this new ash wood trim with the ambient light now above here, so it cascades on the door panel rather than underneath it. Metal trim down here, nice big metal door handles, which are pretty familiar. Kind of a little slightly redesigned Bowers & Wilkins speakers, as we do have that option as well. Very nice soft door cards as well down here. Nice decent amount of storage though. A little bit of some harder plastics down there. And of course, we'll take a look at this captain's row. We do have the 6-seater option on this particular test. You can of course get a bench, but this is a pretty rare option actually for these XC90s, as most people will opt for the additional seating space. Getting in the third row is pretty easy though. All we have to do is press this little switch back here and it just folds back and slides forward as far as you can get it. Getting in and out is a little bit of a more daunting task for adults as it is a small space back here. You can't really get the seat too far forward if you have a driver who is around 6 feet tall, but let's see if we can hop in there, get into the back seats, pull the seat back and back like that. And there we go. So sitting behind, I would say myself, I could sit up there. I have a decent amount of leg space, I would say, though foot space is definitely on the tighter side. Back here, though, it isn't too bad. Like I mentioned, I have an air vent on the side for myself. We do also have a cup holder on the side, as well as a little storage cubby, which I think is quite nice as well, though no charging ports back here. That would be something nice to see, as a lot of competitors are starting to offer that. Though we do get a massive rear window for us to view, as well as our own speaker back here. And I do like how we have our own airbag back here. So Volvo is even thinking about their third row passengers, which is really nice in terms of safety. That is something you're going to get out of a Volvo that you may not see out of some competition. Now, this area back here is pretty decently spacious for 2 passengers, though you cannot fit 3 passengers back here in this third row, which some competitors may be able to do. I do like this little storage combi in the center area over here, and our passenger on the right is getting the same amenities as I am as well. And since we have this captain's chairs option, I could just kind of walk through here to get out as well. But of course, we can still just press this lever to push the seat forward, slide it up, and be able to get out of this vehicle pretty easily as well, though it's definitely a little bit of a tighter space than I would say some larger SUVs in this segment. Now, hopping into this second row with these captain's chairs, again, getting in and out is pretty easy. And this is how I would be sitting right here if there was someone sitting behind me in the third row. But if there wasn't, I can just move the seat a little bit further back, get some more space though. As you can see, it is not that spacious. So we do have a recline function here to have the seat back go a little bit further back, which would allow me to have a little more room to kind of stretch out. Closing the door, nice solid thunk over here. And like I mentioned before, we do have these sunshades we can use to close ourselves up. And overall, this is a pretty nice spacious cabin for second row passengers back here. But nothing really is that different. In the center console area over here, we have this very nice stitched material across over here since we are in the ultra trim. We do get heated seats back here, as well as our own split climate controls back here. So we do have 4-zone climate in this particular XC90, which is nice. 2 USB-C ports down here, as well as 2 cup holders. But what I think is really cool for this 6-seater option is that we actually have cup holders in these armrests over here that slide out. So we technically have 4 cup holders back here for our second row passengers, and these feel really, really cool. And of course, the seats themselves are incredibly comfortable. Volvo makes incredible seats still, and they have definitely stood the test of time. They have a lot of support, very premium feeling, and this is this nice cardamom interior option we have on the 2025.5 XC90. And since this is the ultra package, we're getting a suede headliner as well, so it's a very premium feeling. And this massive panoramic glass roof, a staple of the XC90, remains, so we have plenty of light coming in this entire cabin. We also have storage behind the rear seats as well over here, though no sort of kind of rear entertainment system for these rear passengers, so I guess they'll have to entertain themselves if you do have kids. Though, you know, with an XC90, we're getting air vents on the side over here as well, which is quite nice. We're also getting these kind of accessory hooks over here. You can add in accessories, I believe Volvo makes. And this one, since it is the upgraded one, we have a nice leather wrapped arm or kind of grab handle up here, which feels so premium, as well as interior cabin lighting over here, which does illuminate at night. And like I mentioned, we do have some illumination on the door panels over here as well. But again, nothing too radically different back here. If you've been familiar with the XC90, this is a very borderline identical space. But let's go see what's new up front there, because Volvo actually has made some changes. Okay guys, let's go have a look at what Volvo has changed on the front end of this all-new XC90. And of course, Volvo key fob, nothing too different here. If you've seen my reviews of my own S90 from 2023, pretty much the same key fob there. Opening up our door panel, same gorgeous treatment we saw in the rear as well. So Volvo always makes very solid interiors, I would say. And this one with this upgraded Nappa leather is a gorgeous space as well. I love this new cardamom interior kind of combo theme as well. We have these really amazing seats here up front. We have thigh extenders, we have massage, we have plenty of adjustment as well. So let's go hop inside and see what we're getting in here. Easy to get in and out of the XC90. Nice solid thunk from those door cards as well. And here we have the updated interior of the 2025.5 Volvo XC90, though not much has been updated, but I'll get to all those specific details in just a second. Of course, the power on your modern Volvo, we have our engine start stop switch right in the center console area over here. And it quietly comes to life here, because we are in, of course, the plug-in hybrid version. So that one is going to be starting in electric mode pretty much most of the time. So what is new on this interior? Well, of course, let's go with the things we don't know is new. But of course, at first, let's go with the things that are not so new. So of course, very familiar steering wheel from Volvo. This actually isn't the nicest steering wheel that Volvo had used to make. Some XC90s of the past would get a split two-tone leather wrapped steering wheel. This is pretty much the same steering wheel that I got in my S90 Pure that I had from 2023. So nicer materials, nice stitching here, but not as nice as they used to be able to get. A very simple steering wheel controls as we expect from Volvos as well. We have full, of course, adaptive LED headlights, and of course we have automatic wiper controls on the right hand side as well. So lots of easy controls there, but a lot of the stuff in the interior is pretty much generally the same layout. So we have very similar climate venting controls over here. Nice sound to them, very nice quality. This one is getting the fully stitched upper leather dash portion, and as you can see, we have the upgraded Bowers & Wilkins audio system, which is still one of my favorite in the entire industry. It's so good. Otherwise, in the center console area over here, it has been mildly redesigned. So we have a newly shaped wireless charging port over here, so it's a little bit more space over here we have. And of course, we have this nice ash wood veneer over here, which feels amazing. It's open pore, and it is covering our 2 cup holder area over here, as well as this little phone slot holder. So this again has been mildly redesigned, though what hasn't been redesigned is this area over here. So we have a very familiar Orfor's Swedish crystal shifter, which does glow. As you can see, it's a little bit illuminated in the sunlight right here, but at night it's a really nice design there. Engine start stop button is very familiar, as well as auto brake hold, and as well as our emergency parking brake right there, easily accessible. Nice stitching and padding over here, and this nice center console area over here is also nicely padded. Opening this up, we have a little bit more storage than before, and of course our USB-C ports, which is very important to use Apple CarPlay since we do not have wireless CarPlay, which we'll get to in a second. Our dash has been mildly redesigned though, so we have a new material up here. This is this really nice kind of canvas style material, which I think looks very premium in here. As you can see, it has this nice stitching to it. It's this really premium textile, and of course, like I mentioned, this wood has been redesigned for the door cards. Now, in our digital cluster over here, this is also actually not new, as is the heads-up display we have on this particular one, which doesn't show that much information. We do have turn-by-turn navigation and some mapping systems, as well as our speed and speed limit, but this is not new. This was what I had on my 2023 S90, and the previous XC90s have had this now for quite some time. But the real highlight of this interior has to be the new infotainment screen, and I have some mixed opinions on this system right here. Though it's just a larger screen kind of stuck into the housing and now overlapping it. If you guys remember before, the screen was embedded into this housing right here, and you kind of see where that housing actually is compared to where this new screen has kind of been just been stuck on top of it. This is an all new style of their Volvo OS system here. Now this vehicle has now gone through 3 different operating systems and further interior OS. So we originally started out with the Volvo Sensus systems, then we were upgraded to the more Android backed systems where I got that reskin design, which that was a little bit controversial as it didn't include Apple CarPlay at first, which eventually got it for a software update. And now we're on to this system here, which is another reskinned version of that Android OS based system here. And I'm not too sure how I feel about it, especially from someone who has been using Volvo systems for quite some time in their own S90. It's a little bit clunky to use, and I'm just trying to go through some of the basics, layouts, and system screens over here. So we have our climate controls over here. They've always been at the bottom as we've seen on Volvos, but same kind of situation here. If you want to change our heated seats, for example, we tap this little icon here, and we have ventilated seats options, heated seat option, heated steering wheel option, as well as temperature controls there. So that's actually quite nice of how they've redesigned that layout. Our climate system here has also been redesigned of how this is laid out over here. So we have auto, manual, climate off. We have our air quality sensor on this particular one here, so we can see our pollen status inside and out of the vehicles. We even have an air quality mode as well. We can kind of do an air purification system, and since this is a plug-in hybrid, we can kind of set timers to turn or precondition our cabin for us as well in the morning or in the evening, which is quite nice. And which is pretty interesting here. It looks like we have an EX90 style interior, not necessarily the XC90 that we are in right now, which is, I believe, this where this software is based off of. As you just saw right there, it's a little bit difficult to get to the home screen sometimes, but if you are familiar with Volvos, you'll notice there's a home button right down here, which you can tap, which will always bring you to home. You can also remove this little kind of widget area over here just by swiping down pretty easily, but as you can see, it's a little bit
laggy and some glitchy sometimes, which I have noticed throughout this software. Also in this lower portion over here, we have this cool little Volvo icon right here. That's going to bring us to our quick controls panel so we can quickly access some safety systems, our creep mode and pure EV driving here since we are in a plug-in hybrid, and we can fold down our headrests in the back seats as well, which has been an iconic Volvo function, and a quick access to our brightness controls of our interior cabin. This I do like though. They have redesigned the settings menu to a much easier card style layout. So we have easy access to our driving settings over here, which we can also access from our home screen pretty easily via this drive mode button, which I think is quite nice. I would say the general menu structure is a lot better than what it used to be, though just some of the menus sometimes just don't always work that easily for me. And I'm not too big of a fan of this new home screen layout, especially when you're using Apple CarPlay. It often defaults to this Google mapping system, even when going home and not Apple CarPlay, so I have to constantly go back into it, which is a little bit frustrating. And we also have a full app drawer over here. So thankfully this Google App Store integration does allow you to access quite a few apps. So you can see things like YouTube, but going into the App Store, you can download more functions like built-in ways like SoundCloud, some other music streaming services, a fireplace, and plenty of other things as well. So there is a lot of actually cool things you can download from that App Store, but the very general basic Volvo system is basic in that sense. There isn't a lot of information there. We do get finally redesigned M360 cameras as well. That was one complaint that I had in the previous Volvos, that we were always locked to either this 360 display or just a reversing camera. Now we do get a little bit more angles, so we can really access that front camera now. We can also access individual side cameras to see what's going on the side of our vehicle. We also do a better 360 kind of display over there as well, and access our rear camera. And I do like how now they're putting the buttons here for our rear automatic brake to be disabled or turn on and off. Same thing with our parking sensors, as in some parking situations you don't really want that on. You do have quick access buttons like we've always seen for our volume control over here, as well as defrost, and our button to open our glove box, as for whatever reason the XC90 has always had an electronically opened glove box, while other Volvos have not. But it is pretty big, multi-level as usual, and felt lined, and it's in that nice kind of squishy material over there as well. Otherwise, the seats, like I mentioned, are always very comfortable in these Volvos. I love the little Swedish flag knot on there, and this is the upgraded Nappa leather seats, which I love in Volvos. It has a nice smell to it, nice premium feel, and we have plenty adjustment. And I do like the redesigned display first set adjustments on the screen over here. So as you can see now, we have our massage panel over here, so we can start our massage. We have all of these different programs to kind of adjust our massage, as well as adjust our intensity and speed. But we can also adjust all of our other seat controls here, from our side bolsters to our lower lumbar, as well as our thigh extender there. So this is a very nice interface, I do have to say. And of course, we have our controls for a massive panoramic glass roof that you just slide to close, and you can also slide it back to open it. You can also just simply touch it to open and vent the roof, and you can also slide it back again to open up that entire glass panel as well. So pretty easy access to that control as well. And it is actually tinted and extra laminated than before, so a little bit more sound insulation in this cabin than previous, to kind of remove some of that wind buffeting that may have occurred on the previous XC90. But again, guys, that is it with this interior. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section down below. I do wish they did a little bit more stuff, a better integration of this infotainment system. I do think it is very disappointing that we still have wired Apple CarPlay in 2025. I wish they could have figured out a way to put a wireless chip in this vehicle. I know it's not that difficult. I know for them on the manufacturer side it is difficult, but I wish they were able to overcome that on this particular car. Nonetheless, let's go take this vehicle out on a drive and see how this XC90 T8 plug-in hybrid is out on the road, and see if there's anything different to note.
So like I mentioned, you can start this vehicle off in the pure EV mode pretty much every day. Now, the one downside with the EV powertrain on this vehicle is that they did not update it for this 2025.5 model year, which I'm actually a little bit disappointed about, just because I think it could do a little bit better in terms of charging performance. When it does work, I think it's a very smooth system. You know, Volvo was very early to this interesting rear axle, where there's no full actual physical connection between your front axle as well as the rear axle there. So that's really unique, but a lot of manufacturers are kind of catching on with that today, even with regular series hybrids. Around town, so the XC90 and including the XC60, I'm going to throw that in there, haven't always been the softest ride. A very, very nice, stable
confident driving experience, I would say Volvos have. Very light steering, but it's also very direct at the same time. We also do have just a little bit of a stiffer suspension. I've noticed this on the XC60 and on some earlier XC90s back from 2022 and 2023, which are pretty much the same vehicle underneath. They just have a little bit of this stiffness to the suspension. It may not be as a premium suspension design as some of the German vehicles out back and the rear suspension, so that could be in play, or just how the mounting points are on the vehicle. But you'll definitely notice that on the road, though, with this particular adaptive air suspension on smooth pavement, it really does just float and glide around very well at time to time, though it's still a little bit on the firmer side, I've noticed. And these, I think, are only the 22-inch wheels. I think you can get a 23-inch for this 2025.5 model year, so something to consider there. But overall, a decent, well composed suspension setup on the Volvo. And like I mentioned, you can adjust your steering from firm to light. You can see the steering here, it's a little bit loosey-goosey, but it does firm up in some corners. You do feel a little more confident and stable in your driving. But I always do like how Volvos drive. They have this really nice confident positioning. And speaking of positioning, the XC90 and just Volvos in general have some of the best designed visibility in the car industry. Volvo's all about safety at the end of the day, really, and they design that into every aspect of this vehicle. In your rear view mirror, it may not be a digital camera, but it's huge and it's zoomed in perfectly on that rear glass. You can fold down the headrest from the infotainment system if there's no one sitting back there, to allow you even better visibility as well. You have loads of glass around you. Your side mirrors are huge, and even your blind spots and your rear windows and three-quarter windows are so easy to see out of. It doesn't even feel like you need to have like some sort of camera assisting you. So that's a really great touch there. Let's have a quick little acceleration up this hill. You get that little bit of firmerness. That was a pretty light bump there, actually, so you can just hear how that reverberates into the cabin. But pretty strong acceleration once this powertrain is combined, and you're combining that front gas engine with the rear electric motors. Remember, they're not connected. They combine together to produce a really impressive over 450 horsepower. So this thing moves. I can tell you that. It's not a slow feeling vehicle whatsoever. Now, the downside to this is that it's not the most efficient plug-in hybrid you're going to see. This thing really is great when you charge it overnight for 5 or 6 hours on like a level 2 charger. Wake up, drive your 30 or so miles to and from work, and you're fine. When you want to charge it in a get-go in a quick situation, it's not going to be your friend in that case. You may want to consider a quicker charging plug-in hybrid. And when you're just using this gas engine, I haven't noticed the best fuel economy. I've been seeing 25 to 28 mpg on the highway on average when I'm driving in just hybrid mode, not pure mode, and I'm holding that battery charge. And the reason you're saying, why are you holding it? Well, I might want to use it in a different location. That's the beauty with these plug-in hybrids, is you have that versatility of being able to use that battery whenever you want, if you do want to choose so. If you're just driving it as, I guess, intended, you have that full battery charge after charging at night, and you can go out and drive in pure full hybrid mode. It's going to really prioritize that electric motor system, and you'll definitely get better MPG there, but that's just because you'll be driving it electric more so and then using up that charge. But you really do need to be going somewhere with a charger and be there for a long distance of time if you really have hopes of kind of filling up this battery pack here. Now, out here on the highway, the XC90 is famous for being able to haul everyone in your family, all of your luggage, and go on road trips. I think that's one of the most things that XC90 owners do, other than driving their kids to and from school and soccer practice. It's a great road tripping vehicle. And this particular one, it is the fully loaded XC90 with all of the fun bells and whistles. We have this absolutely one of my favorite audio systems in just the automotive industry is this Bowers & Wilkins system here, so everyone can listen to some great tunes. But also on the driveway, we also have Volvo's pilot assist functionality here. Now, in this day and age in 2025, this car still has a lot of great features. We have blind spot monitoring, warning, rear cross traffic alert, every safety system you can possibly think that you'll find on the XC90. It will still be here. And the pilot assist system is, I think, one of my favorites still, even though it's not the most advanced, but there's no eye tracking software like we're getting on some of the more advanced systems, which means we're not getting any sort of hands-free style system in the XC90 still to this day. But the Pro Pilot system is still really good. And when I had my S90, it was updated to have 2 different functionalities. functionalities. We have this one functionality here where we have full steering and full lane keep and centering assist, which means is essentially the vehicle is driving itself, though you always have to have your hands on the steering wheel. It is not a hands-free style system, and all you do is activate it and deactivate it by the touch of a button. I like that Volvo still does that. It's just so easy to activate and deactivate, and you can have it where you press this button right here and it'll go to just regular cruise control without the steering assist if you don't like that steering assist intervening with you. And in our quick control panel over here, we do have that ability to have a quick control for our lane keep aid. So if you want to turn your lane keep assist off, you can do that, and there's way more stuff baked into the settings here. And with this system on, even like traffic we see right now, I feel very confident in the stop and go functionality to make a quick adjustment or something, change a tune, or have my passenger do so, and I can direct to them while in the vehicle, which is great. So right now we are driving in drive, and a lot of electric vehicles these days will have either a B mode or a one pedal driving mode that you can put it in to use the regenerative braking more so than your actual physical brakes, to both save the life of your brakes but also regen electricity into the battery pack. This one does have the said B mode here, so all I do is flip my gear selector down and you can see we'll switch into B mode here, and now you feel that force of the regen, so it can actually bring you to a full stop. You definitely have to get used to it. It's a one pedal driving style experience, so you don't always have to touch the brake pedal, but obviously if you need to, you always can. And it works very, very well on this car, and it actually really makes this driving experience with the XC90 even better, especially around town and in traffic situations here. I just let off, get really full regen. I can control the strength of the regen, and you're just gaining charge at that point, while also just having a little more of a more comfortable driving experience without having to switch your foot back and forth from the brake or the accelerator the whole time. And out here, if you're on the highway on a longer trip, I don't always recommend to use this function, as it does kind of eat up your gas tank, but if you do want to, you can charge the battery pack. So now the engine's going to kick on and it's just going to keep running and acting as both a power source for the vehicle while also generating energy for the battery, but it charges at a very slow rate. So I honestly would just recommend just charging it at home overnight. You're probably going to save your fuel in that case. And coming off the highway, guys, this has been a great week with this new XC90 for 2025.5 model year. Have all the changes I really wanted in this vehicle that I think needed to be made? No, I don't think they were all made, but it's a lot of great improvements, I think, to a generally good and timeless product that a lot of people love. A lot of people have put their family trust in, their money in, and I think that's going to do well for them in that part. It looks fresh. It's nice enough refresh stuff on the interior, and you still have a great amount of options from this plug-in hybrid to the mild hybrids as well. But thank you guys for watching another video over here on Allcarnews as we end our highway driving session here. And of course, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow for more awesome videos. Cheers.